20% self-sufficiency on food, and you don't want to go any lower.
Not 28,
Because the
not
last
28, 28. Less than the price of a penny sweet from a corner shop. That same litre of milk sits on a Tesco shelf for over £1. And while that has been going on, a man who could not sell 16 tons of his own potatoes in 2019 just built a beer brand that turned over 21.3 million in a single year, using barley from the same farm the supermarkets ignored. This is the story of how Clarkson and Caleb went around the entire British food industry, and why the people who run that industry should be absolutely furious with themselves for letting it happen. Most people think the diddly squat story is about a celebrity playing at farming. That is the version the people who dislike Clarkson prefer. It is also completely wrong. What actually happened is that Music Clarkson walked straight into the ugliest secret in British food. Had it happened to him on camera, and then spent 5 years building the thing that 30 years of government reports and NFU letters and parliamentary debates never managed to create a supply music chain that pays British farmers fairly and makes British people proud to buy from them. But to understand how he got there, you have to start at the beginning, and the beginning is humiliating. Year 1 on the farm, Clarkson grows 16 tons of potatoes. He is excited. He thinks this is straightforward. Grow the thing, sell the thing, make the money. Caleb, who has been farming since before he could legally drive, watches all of this with the expression of a man who already knows exactly how it ends. The supermarkets are not interested. 16 tons is not nearly enough volume for them to bother with, but it is far too much to sell at the roadside with an honesty box. So Clarkson builds a shop, and by the time the shop is ready, the potatoes, music, have rotted. Now here is the thing. Every British farmer knows that story. Not the celebrity version with a camera crew. The real version, the one where you grow something, spend months doing it properly, and then find out the buyer will not take it at a music price that covers what it cost you to grow it. That happens every single day on British farms, and nobody films it. Nobody turns it into television. Nobody makes the country care. Clarkson did it by accident, and it changed everything. Because when that episode aired, something happened that the supermarket industry did not see coming and still has not fully reckoned with. Music. The British public watched a man lose money on his own potatoes and got angry on his behalf. Not politely, music concerned, genuinely angry. The kind of angry that makes you drive an hour and a half to a shed in Oxfordshire to spend 50 quid on a candle and a jar of honey just to feel like you did something. That anger is the foundation of everything that comes after. So Clarkson has the audience, he has the anger, he has the farm, and he has a vision. He wants to sell his own beef directly to the public. Cut out the middleman. Show people where their food comes from. Charge a fair price. Pay a fair price. Keep the money in British farming. Instead of letting it disappear into a supermarket distribution network, he builds toward it. He gets cattle. He starts raising pigs. He converts the lambing barn into a restaurant. He is going to do farm to fork properly right there in the Cotswolds. And the people will come because they already are coming, queuing down the lane, blocking the road, driving from Birmingham and London and further just to stand on the actual farm. Then West Oxfordshire District Council arrives with the enforcement notices. Restaurant unlawful. Shut it down. You have 6 weeks to restore the land to its original condition. Remove the tables, the toilets, the landscaping materials, all of it gone. Car park extension refused. The road outside can stay blocked. The countryside must be protected from the site of a car park. Shop products restricted to items produced on the farm or within 16 miles. The candles that people are queuing for borderline the beef from a British farm outside the radius. Problem. Everything Clarkson tried to build to bypass the supermarket system got strangled by planning law. Instead, he spent the money. He did the work. And the council ripped it out and told them to start again. For most people, that is the end of the story. You lose the restaurant. You scale back the ambitions. You accept music, that the system does not want you to succeed, and you find a way to manage within it. Clarkson, music, filmed the whole thing instead. Every enforcement notice became an episode. Every council letter became a storyline. Every refusal became a front page. Series 2 and Series 3 of Clarkson's Farm, watched by millions of people in Britain and Australia and America, documented the planning battle in real time. The council spent rate-ire money fighting a planning dispute and accidentally produced the most effective advertisement for British direct farming that has ever existed. By the time the dust settled, the shop had confirmed planning permission. The car park got approved and the restaurant Dream, rather than dying, had just been redirected into a pub less than £1 million. A former roadside boozer called the Windmill, sitting on 5 acres near Burford. Clarkson renames it the Farmer's Dog, renovates it, films the whole chaotic process for Series 4, and opens it in August 2024. And here is what he does with the menu that nobody in the British hospitality industry had done before, at any kind of scale. 100% British ingredients, not mostly British, not British where possible. Every single thing on the plate, the music beef, the pork, the lamb, the vegetables, the beer, the spirits, even the cooking oil. All of it from British farms. No Coca-Cola, no avocados, no black pepper. If it was not grown or produced in this country, it does not come through the door. A Michelin-starred chef called it one of the most genuinely committed supply chain operations he had seen. The pub employs over 140 people on opening day. Hundreds queued for hours. It needed a 360-space car park built in a nearby field just to handle demand. It now has a butcher shop attached called Hobson and Chops, a farm shop, a grab-and-go kitchen, a bottle shop. It is not a pub. It is a destination built on one idea. British farmers deserve a fair price, and British people deserve to know where their food came from. Genuinely want to know this. When you last bought beef or lamb at a supermarket, did you check where it was actually from? Not the Union Jack on the front, the actual label on the back. Drop it in the comments because the numbers on this might surprise you. Now here is the part that even most fans of the show have not fully joined up. And this is where the story stops being about a pub and starts being about something much bigger. The beef operation is important. The pub is impressive. But the thing that shows you what Clarkson actually built, the number that tells you this has gone far beyond a celebrity farm project, is the beer, Hawkstone. It starts in 2021. Because of a problem, government farm subsidies are being cut. The farm needs new income streams, and Clarkson has barley. Good British barley grown at diddly squat. The same barley that he could sell as a commodity to a processor for almost nothing. The same grain that British farmers have been growing for centuries and getting squeezed on price for decades. He turns it into lager instead. It does not go smoothly. The first batch fails a blind taste test against a local brand. Embarrassing. Back to the brewery. Start again. They get it right. Launch it. People love it. It becomes the best-selling beer.
Hanging from the roof. New audience of Clarkson farm fans, many of whom.
The cider has a packaging music fault. The bottles are at risk of exploding. Clarkson has to put out a public warning. His beer brand is literally a safety hazard. For a normal business, this is the kind of story that kills a brand before it gets started. Product recall, public embarrassment, social media ridicule. Sales for the year to March 2025, 20.3 million. Read that again. A beer that started as surplus barley that no commodity buyer wanted, that failed its first taste, music test, that had to issue an exploding bottle warning, turned over £21 million in 12 months. That is up from 7.8 million the year before. Revenue nearly tripled. Hawkstone is now ranked the 23rd fastest growing private company in Britain by the Sunday Times. It is stocked in Waitrose, in Morrison's, in Music Sainsbury's, in over 2,000 pubs. The same supermarkets that spent 30 years paying British grain farmers almost nothing for their barley are now paying a premium to put Clarkson's beer made from that exact barley on their shelves. He did not beg them to pay farmers more. He did not write letters. He did not form a working group. He just added the value himself and sold it back to them at a price they had to accept because their customers were already asking for it. That is not farming. That is war. And he won. But now understand the full machine, because this is the bit that should make every supermarket executive sit down and think carefully about the next 10 years. The farm grows the barley makes the beer sells in the pub serves the beef and the pork and the lamb. Those animals come from British farmers who get paid a fair price because Clarkson is not extracting supermarket margins from every link in the chain. The show films all of it. Millions of people watch. The people who watch come to Oxfordshire. They spend money in the shop and the pub. That money funds the next thing. Every part of the operation makes every other part stronger. And in the middle of all of it, Caleb, born and raised farming, knows every field, every music crop, every problem before it becomes a disaster. The reason the farm actually functions, the reason people believe it is real. You cannot fake Caleb. No marketing department in London could have invented him. He is the proof that this is not a celebrity vanity project. It is a genuine working farm that happens to have found a way to make the system work for farmers instead of against them. But here is what is not resolved. In November 2024, the Labour government announces inheritance tax changes that would force farming families to pay 40% death duties on agricultural land above £1 million threshold. For a working farm that has been in a family for 3 generations, that can mean selling half the land just to pay the bill when a parent dies.
We're down now in this country to only 60% self-sufficiency on food, and you don't want to go any lower than that, because the last time we did that was the 1930s, and then the U-boats came and we damn nearly starved to death. And I think the pandemic, when it first came and people panic bought and the shelves emptied, and we were starting to think, where's the food going to come from? You just need to think, wait a minute, we're capable of producing the food in the country, so let's back the farmers to actually produce it and try and buy it wherever possible. I think it's very difficult to say to a consumer, you must pay more for your food. I don't think anyone would want to do that. But I do think it would be possible if the government were to back off farming and make us fill in fewer forms and so on. We could actually...
And yet, look at the full picture. Stand back and take it all in. A man who made $5,035 from a filing cabinet full of potatoes now runs a supply chain that includes a nationally known farm shop, a pub with 140 employees, and a 360-space car park, a beer brand doing $21.3 million a year that the Sunday Times calls one of Britain's fastest-growing businesses, and a British farming advocacy platform that puts 2,000 people outside Parliament, and music makes the Prime Minister's office take notice. The barley nobody wanted became beer that Sainsbury's begs to stock. The beef that could not get a fair price from a supermarket buyer now sells out of a pub where people queue for hours to eat it. The potatoes that rotted in a barn became the story that made a nation remember what British food was supposed to feel music-like. The entire British supermarket industry had the land, the money, the supply chains, the data, and the distribution. They had every advantage in the world, and they spent 30 years using all of it to squeeze British farmers for another halfpenny per litre. Clarkson spent 5 years using a camera crew and a bad temper, and Caleb's actual farming knowledge to build something that feels more real to British people than anything that comes out of a Tesco distribution centre. That music is not luck. That is what happens when the system leaves enough people angry for long enough, and then one of them is stubborn enough to actually do something about it. 535 music from a filing cabinet, £21.3 million from music the same field, same man, same farm. Different idea about who the food was actually for. So, let me ask you this. Is Clarkson doing more for British farming than the government has managed in 30 years? Or is he just a very rich man who found a clever way to sell beer using other people's anger? 2 options. Drop it below.